Today we're going to tie the gotcha. It's one of the quintessential patterns for bonefish down in Florida, the Keys, Bahamas, Belize, basically anywhere in the Caribbean. Pattern or the materials you're going to need for this gotcha. You want some basically standard stainless steel hooks. I'm going to use size 4 today. For the tail, you're going to use some either mylar tubing, or they make some body tubing now. Get it in a pearl color. For the body, you're going to use some flat diamond braid. That's going to come in a bunch of colors. I use pearl for that as well. The wing can be just about any color. You can use sand color, you can use tan, you can use pink, you can use white, you can use brown, but just get some craft fur in whatever color you prefer. For the eyes, I'm going to use just standard bead chain eyes today. You can use just about anything you want, from dumbbells to monofilament eyes, depending on how deep you want the fly to run. And lastly, we'll have some crystal flash to top off the wing. I use light pink thread. Some tyers like to start out with tan and then switch over later. Some will use tan the entire time. I'm going to use just pink today. Start out the fly, just wrap lay your thread base. I usually start around halfway down the shank, wrap towards the back, snip the excess. Take your piece of diamond braid tubing. You're going to want it to extend past the shank probably about a little less than 1 shank's length. You're going to end up picking it apart once it's in there. With this particular kind, there's a little cotton core on each side, so I'll usually fray it up a little bit ahead of time and then do my best to just pinch just that piece out. There's usually 2 on each side, so there we go. I got a little more left in there. Once you got it, tie it in. Tie it up. I'm going to trim off some of this excess stuff here. I like leaving a little bit extra there than I normally would, just because I'm going to want that to help build up a little bit of the body. So once that's secured, take a bodkin or something similar and just really run through there. Lots of times you can just use your finger and it's simple enough. At this point, grab your diamond braid, tie that in here, right at the base of the tail. Advance your thread forward. And we're going to tie in the eyes. I got a pair of my bead chains already. I always when I first started tying, I'd always tie in eyes way too far towards the head, and I'd wind up with no room left for the head. So I've started tying them back a lot further than I think I need to, and it always ends up working out just about right now. So do all your figure eights, get it nice and secure. You always want to wrap around the base of the eyes too to help secure that in place. I always, at this point, usually add a drop of Zap-A-Gap or something similar. Help secure them, make sure they don't come loose or come loose as easily. Take your diamond braid at this point, you're going to wrap it around, overlap each wrap a little bit. Make your body. I'm going to advance my thread out of the way just for demonstration. So you're going to wrap it around the eyes as well, just as you did to secure the dumbbells themselves, or the bead chains or whatever. Now you want to make sure you wrap it all the way around so even underneath the eyes is covered. Alright, once you got that, go ahead and tie it off. I always leave the entire strand and then snip the strand afterwards. Probably not the fastest way, but it's the most efficient from a material perspective. Alright, so at this point, flip your fly over. If you have a rotary vise, you have the advantage. Just turn the knob. You're going to take your craft fur. I'm using tan today, and really just get a nice chunk. How much you really pull off is going to depend on how full you want the wing to be. I'm going to grab about this much, and I'm going to snip that off, and then we're going to have to clean it out a little bit. Craft fur doesn't stack nicely like bucktail does or anything like that. So you can see this is way too long. The end goal is you're going to want to have these pieces just about a little longer than the length of the tail. So you can see here, it's probably going to be right nice and full to about this length. So let's start peeling. Just grasp the base tightly. Just start picking out some of the longer pieces of craft fur. Sometimes you can actually, if you're careful, you can grab enough of the longer pieces that you can tie a second fly with that. But you're not always that lucky. Next thing, grab the base, take out some of the really short stuff so it doesn't really mess up your knots or your head and make it more difficult to tie. There's no reason to tie in that extra crap. Okay, so make sure you have it proportioned right. If you need to, you could always trim out some of the pieces, but I don't like doing that. I like leaving the tapers more natural. So once you're measured out, that's not a good wrap there. You want to get it as close to that head as you can. 1, 2, 3. Trim it off. Clean up any little bits around here so you don't have them poking out once you go to tie off the head. This is always one of my least favorite parts. I'm not that great at making a nice clean head, but you do what you can. Okay, make sure it's nice and secured on there. Okay. Now at this point, just grab some of the crystal flash, maybe, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 strands. Again, it's going to depend on your preference, if you like it to be flashier or if you'd rather have it more subtle. Measure it up against the fly. Snip it off. This stuff, it's a lot more easy to trim to length once it's on the fly if you need to. And you can actually very easily trim this on the water as well if you find the proportions aren't quite right. Okay. So just finish off your head. Whip finish. Give it a nice little snip. And all you need at this point is your head cement. And that's a finished fly.